Yo, what's going on YouTube? It's your guy, Darren, the bow tie fragrance guy. And on this channel, we talk about fragrances primarily, and we throw in some fashion tips as well. So I like to talk about how men can look their best and smell their best every day. So if that sounds interesting to you, then you found the right channel. Go ahead and click the subscribe button. And take a few moments, if you don't mind, to click the bell icon as well, just to ensure, as best you can at least, to get notified anytime I upload new videos on this channel. So guys, you've seen the title today, and we're going to be talking about fragrances in my collection. I have 10 that I want to mention that are currently blowing my mind. And when I say blowing my mind, I want to explain when I get to each one of them as best I can why. Because there are different reasons that each of these fragrances have really have my attention at this moment. So needless to say, there are 10 fragrances that I think are great fragrances. And again, for various reasons, right now, they are really blowing my mind. So this is going to be really fun. You guys know how we do. If you want to hear what fragrances made this list today, then you know the routine. Keep it locked right here. We'll be right back. All right, guys, we're back. Thank you so much for keeping it locked in. We're going to jump right into the list today. As always, I'm enjoying some coffee. Oh, man, that's really good. Yes, coffee is good. Coffee is really good. But I have 10 fragrances here that I'm going to go ahead and get into. As always, guys, I say this, you know, because sometimes folks feel some kind of way. As we like to say, if you have certain fragrances on the list that are a little bit more pricey, always sample. I'm not recommending anybody go out and blind buy anything. And again, I recommend ScentSplit. If you want to try out samples, just because I know they have most of the fragrances that I talk about, you know, on my list, they have most of those fragrances available in a lot of different sizes. So if that's something you're interested in, and of course, I always have the link down below for you to do so. Let's go ahead and jump right into the list. All right, guys, the first fragrance on this list comes from the house of Nishane, and this fragrance is called Eggy. Eggy from the house of Nishane. It's E-G-E, and this is a very unique fragrance. Amazing to be worn in the spring and summertime. Oh man, it's so good. This was another fragrance, and again, I've told you, I've started to really appreciate the note of mint. It has a prominent mint note in this, but it also has a yuzu note. What's interesting about this fragrance, and is in perfect Nishane fashion. When it starts to dry down, this thing has some power, some lasting power and some character, and that comes from the use of licorice, which is a note I generally, you know, shy away from, but it's done well in this fragrance, as well as some orbanum. So this fragrance really performs, and it can be worn in the summertime. So very unique, definitely unique pairing of notes in this fragrance, and not to mention that this bottle is absolutely gorgeous. So for the bottle and the unique note breakdown in this one, performance, this is a fragrance in my collection that I keep going back to, and right now it really has my attention, is blowing my mind, from the house of Nishane. This is called Eggy. The next fragrance on this list, believe it or not, I got from a rack store find. But man, you know, I don't care about how much I pay for a fragrance, how much it costs. If it's good, it's good. And I'm highly impressed by this one from the house of Commodity. This is called Bergamot. Bergamot. Now, as you guys may well know, these commodity fragrances, when they first came out, were kind of expensive, and then I think they kind of went away for a moment, and you started to see all these fragrances that were named after fragrance notes to be popping up in the rack stores. They started popping up everywhere, and I saw a few of them, but I never really pulled the trigger on any of them. So I saw this one here recently, and I got it because I heard that this one was kind of good. And it really is. And the reason that it made this list is because for what I paid for it, this is a really quality bergamot based fragrance. Not quite Bergamot 22 from Le Labo, but if you like bergamot, it's done very well, especially for the price point that you're gonna find this one at nowadays. So with summer being right around the corner, this is the perfect one to pick up if you see this one lying around somewhere for a good price. From the house of Commodity, this is called Bergamot. Guys, coming in at the 8th spot on this list, this fragrance comes from the house of Fragrance du Bois, and this one is called Oud Orange Intense. Oud Orange Intense. And guys, oh man, I've talked about this house before. I talked about Santal Complete, which is a beautiful fragrance that features coconut. This one has coconut as well, but it opens up with a melange of fruity notes. So what you get to me is a really, the fruity notes, whatever they are, they don't list them specifically, but it creates an orange accord. Very orange heavy, but it's really sweet. So it's like some type of orange cream cake. That's what I would equate the smell of this to. That's what it smells like, because with the fruity notes in the opening of this fragrance, you also have coconut. And coconut gives it, definitely gives it some character, helps to really amplify the fruity accords in the opening of the fragrance. And then you have bourbon vanilla, and also just a little bit of oud and musk as this fragrance dries down. And this, man, it is just gorgeous. Again, it smells like a cream or orange cream cake. That's exactly what this smells like, and it is lovely. I can't wait for fall and winter to roll back around so I can really get more wears out of this. But man, this is quality through and through, and that's something you'll see with fragrances from the house of Fragrance Du Bois. But this one is called Oud Orange Intense. All right, guys, coming in at the 7th spot on this list today, this one comes from the house of Atelier des Ors, and this is called Riviera Dry. Riviera Dry, oh my goodness, this bottle is absolutely stunning. I love the bottle presentation from this house. And man, this stuff smells good. Some people may say that this smells similar to Creed Aventus, but to me, it smells more like Hachivat. And I've said before, Hachivat is a more earthier, greener take on that Aventus DNA, but it's only about maybe, I don't know, 20%, 30%, maybe similar to that. This is way more in line with Hachivat, although it's not as earthy and quite as green, but man, this stuff is absolutely amazing. So this is blowing my mind because it's giving me a Hachivat vibe, but it's not as, again, as earthy. And I'm honest, I'm not as much of a fan of that really earthy patchouli and oak moss that they use in Hachivat. This is a even more wearable version. Now, it doesn't perform quite like Hachivat, but it does give you great performance. And again, I just love this bottle, man. So this is one of the fragrances that's definitely blowing my mind at this moment from the house of Atelier des Ors. This is called Riviera Dry. All right, and coming in at the 6th spot on this list, this fragrance comes from the house of Mancera, and this is Mancera Lemon Lime. Mancera Lemon Lime. Now, sometimes what's so intriguing to me about a fragrance is when I smell it, and it is as good as this one is, I'm trying to figure out, why are more people not talking about this fragrance? And sometimes that's the allure of it for me, because there are a lot of fragrances that folks talk about from Mancera, but a lot of folks don't mention this one, and I'm not sure why. And to me, it's just a beautiful scent that features the note or highlights the note of lemon. But what I love about it is the fougere quality that comes into play about 10 minutes into wearing this fragrance. When you first spray it, you're just gonna get hit with mainly a lemon accord, and it's beautiful, but I love the complexity, the fougere quality that, like I said, that comes into play shortly thereafter. This fragrance also features note of lavender, oak moss, and there's a white musky accord in the base, which are all great elements in a recipe for a beautiful fougere scent. And for somebody like me, when you dress up in a suit and a tie, this is a perfect fragrance from the house to wear because of that fougere quality that it has, and I absolutely love this stuff from the house of Mancera. Again, this one is called Lemon Lime. All right, guys, we are in the top 5 on this list, and this fragrance in the 5th spot comes from the house of Yves Saint Laurent, their private collection, and this one is called Tuxedo. Tuxedo, and I, just like many of you, have heard the sad news that this fragrance may be discontinued, and I found that when I was trying to find this fragrance. It was really, really hard to find, but this is just a spicy patchouli fragrance. Beautiful, beautiful scent. Again, kind of transitioning out of the time of year to wear this one, but right now, man, just to put your nose on it, I see why so many people want to and need to have this fragrance in their collection. It's gorgeous, man. From the house of YSL, Yves Saint Laurent, this one is called Tuxedo. All right, coming in at the 4th spot on this list, this is one of the fragrances that I was hyped to get in the year of 2021, and I'm so glad I have it. And again, can't wait for fall and winter to roll back around to really get some significant wearing out of this. But it smells divine. From the house of Christian Dior, their private collection. This is Fève Delicios. Fève Delicios from the house of Christian Dior. And man, you guys know I love gourmand fragrances. And this is definitely a unisex fragrance, but guys, you can rock the heck out of this. Ladies, you definitely can rock it. But guys, don't sleep on this one, man. This one features notes of cherry. Tonka bean is a prominent note, vanilla as well. But man, this is just, man, it smells so good. Beautiful gourmand scent with some floral undertones. So again, I can't wait for it to get cold again outside because I'm gonna get a lot of use out of this scent. It's so sexy and sensual and seductive. From the house of Christian Dior, this is called Fève Delicios. All right, coming in at the third spot on this list today, this fragrance comes from the house of Xerjoff, and this is called Xerjoff 40 Knots. 40 Knots. And the reason this fragrance is on this list as a fragrance that is currently blowing my mind is because of the complexity of this fragrance. Man, this thing opens up with this very kind of sea salty, aquatic, slightly green accord. But what I love about it is it dries down to this really kind of smoky, incensey, resinous kind of fragrance. Now, the sea salty vibe that you get never really goes away. It just kind of goes to the background of this fragrance. I'm gonna do a full review on this, but it's very complex. And the complexity of this is what really is attracting me to this and what's blowing my mind about it right now. This is niche perfumery done right at its finest. And man, I'm telling you, this is one that you definitely need to put your nose on because this can teach a class on olfactory journey. From the house of Xerjoff, this one is called 40 Knots. Guys, now coming in at the number 2 spot on this list today, this fragrance is certainly blowing my mind. From the house of Bortnikov, this is called Amber Cologne. Amber Cologne from the house of Bortnikov. Now, what you're gonna get in this bottle right here, first of all, is a very quality fragrance. You can smell quality. As soon as you put the atomizer to your nose, you're gonna smell the quality in this scent. It opens up with a beautiful orange and grapefruit accord. So this kind of fruity accord that's created in the opening from grapefruit. And you have 2 different varieties of grapefruit. So those are the most prominent notes. You have the white grapefruit and grapefruit. And then you have orange in the opening of this as well. Now, I don't remember if jasmine is listed as a note or not, but I pick up a very strong jasmine accord in the opening of this as well. Oh man, but when it dries down, guys, it's just a beautiful scent. It's a beautiful scent when it dries down. And don't be fooled by the name. This is a fragrance that is to be worn in the spring and summertime. I know you may think amber and think of the warm amber, but this is not that amber. It's really referring to ambergris. So you kind of have that salty, kind of aquatic thing that ambergris normally brings to a fragrance, and it's very authentic smelling. At least I'll say that. But this is a beautiful fragrance from the house of Bortnikov. This is called Amber Cologne. And coming in at the number 1 spot, this fragrance is completely blowing my mind. I cannot get enough of this fragrance. It is so good and so underrated. From the house of Imouage, this is called Dear Man. Dear Man. And I just, listen, I'm enamored right now with this fragrance. It is so good. It's so good. It features a floral note of peony, which is not used too often especially in men's fragrances. You don't find a lot of fragrances that have peony. And again, it's a not kind of soft floral note. And it's just really done well in this fragrance because it's not too feminine. And you would think with a prominent note like peony, it may go that direction, but it doesn't. It has a nice succulent plum note that comes into play. It gives it some juiciness, some fruitiness in the mid of this. And I just love the dry down because it gives you a nice slightly smoky vetiver note when it dries down. Man, this is a beautiful fragrance from the house of Imouage. So sample this one if you've never put your nose on it. This one is called Dear Man. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's my time, man. I hope you enjoyed this video today as I gave you 10 fragrances in my collection that are currently blowing my mind. As always, I appreciate your time and attention to these videos because, of course, I know you could have been anywhere else in the world, but you're right here with me, and I sincerely appreciate that. Now, don't forget to take a few moments to go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe, and go ahead and share these videos out to some folks that you think could use this information or find me entertaining, because I'm your guy, Darian, the Bowtie Fragrance Guy. I love to look good, and of course, I love to smell amazing. So until next time, guys, keep looking good, keep smelling even better. I'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.